This is my current sewing machine. It's a Brother DS 120S and it's been working fine. I've had a little bit of issues with thread tension, but that might just be me as well. But my days working with this machine might be counted. This is my brand new used Bernina Activa 125. It's been sitting somewhere gathering dust for a long time, but now it's here with me and it's gonna need a little bit of TLC, but I'm up for the task. Let's look inside. The original case, nothing in here, very dusty. Some kind of instructions, plastic bag, oil, the original manual in Danish, extension, this thing that I'm not sure what it is yet. Little case. I kind of hope there are cool presser feet in here. There's still some thread. The machine is threaded. While unpacking this machine, I couldn't help but think about all the projects that someone made on this. Was it just left in the middle of a project with thread already in there? What kind of things did someone make on this? And how lucky am I to be the next person who gets to use it? It's a heavy boy. Turning it on. Okay, so it's perfect. So the machine definitely works. Let's have a look at all of the little knickknacks that I got with it. I just had a little flip through the manual and I figured out what this thing is. So apparently that's what goes in this hole. It's like an arm for a freehand system. You put it in there and it goes out over the machine like this. And then you can lift the presser foot with your knee, so you don't have to move your hands at all. Next, there's this little case that attaches to the back of the machine. And I figured out from the manual that it actually is kind of a little bit of a cupboard. You can flip out the legs like this. And then it stands. I just really love the innovation. I don't feel like I would get this nowadays. Inside the little cupboard, we've got a bunch of small things. Presser feet, screws and things. A little note that says faff. Maybe they wanted a faff machine instead. In the manual I discovered a guide to needles. Depending on what thread you're using, then what needle you need. This thing just fell apart when I touched it. I'm sure it's for something, but I think it's done. I found out from the manual that this is used to prop up the sewing foot when you have fabric that's really, really tall, just to get it in the right height. Look at this genius invention. There's a little thread in here on the spools, and I thought they were stuck, but if you just press down here, it rolls out. As you can probably tell, I'm really excited about this new machine and the presser feet and all of the little knickknacks that comes with it. We've got spools, we've got needles, screws, brushes, really anything that you need. And everything was intact and in good shape in the case as well. All in all, I'm really happy with this new piece of equipment. Maybe you can tell that it's very dirty. So before I can do any sewing at all, I need to clean it. I can already tell that this machine is a lot more stable than my brother machine, and it probably has something to do with the weight. It's just more secure, it doesn't move, it doesn't shake. And after giving it some oil, it's running really smoothly. I don't think there's anything wrong with this machine. I think I can just start using it. I am planning to make the Rue Quilt Coat from Spaghetti Western Sewing. Got it all printed. Next is cutting and assembling, which is just always tedious. But before I do that, let me show you the idea. I really want to try quilting, but I don't think this is the right project for it. I think it will be too big of a project. When I start to quilt, I'll start with a blanket or something that's a little bit less complicated. So for this project, I just bought this pre-quilted. It's really just a blanket. It has blue flowers on one side and stripes on the inside. So this will be the inside of the coat and this will be the outside. Then I'll add this blue bias binding for all of the details. It's not an exact match because the flowers are actually white, but I think the color variation could be fun. Assembling and cutting pattern pieces when it's just printed on A4 paper is really tedious, but one upside is I get to use my new table. We made this table especially for these kind of situations where you have to cut something and a regular table is just too low to the ground. It hurts your back. It's not a good position to work in. So we did this. Perfect position to cut in. Now standing up at my new fancy table, I began laying out the pattern. For the purpose of this project and in the hopes that I'll be quilting soon, I've bought new supplies. I bought a cutting mat, a big square ruler, and a rotor cutter. These things are coming in handy not only for the fabric later, but also for assembling the paper pattern, even though I probably shouldn't be using the rotary cutter for paper if I want it to be sharp for fabric. Note to self. Yeah, nice. This sewing and crafting room is really my dream come true, and you can see we're not really done yet, but when we are, it's gonna just be so pretty. Right now it's already fulfilling all of my needs with this table. I have a big table next to it with my computer and a place for a sewing machine. As someone who used to really struggle with space in my last apartment, this is it's just so luxurious. It's just everything that I was waiting for and I wished for. Standing here is so comfortable. It's the right height. I have lots of space for all my pattern pieces, and I can't wait to keep making stuff here. I can't believe I get to make stuff in this room. I thought that this kind of tool was way too advanced for me, but I just realized that it's really worth it to just have something that works and makes the process so much smoother. There's a possibility that I was being a little bit dramatic when I said that cutting out the pattern is the worst thing in the world. These tools, they just made it so much easier. Granted, there's not a lot of pieces in this jacket, but I finished it all in less than an hour. Now, unfortunately, I have to go to work, so I can't even continue on this. But for you, it'll only be a second before I'm back. It's a day later and I finally have some time to sew again. So I'm gonna go and cut all of my pieces and try to start to assemble. It's especially the bias binding around the pockets that I'm going to try to do next. And I'm a little bit scared about that. I haven't had the best of luck with bias binding in the past, but I'll try to watch a tutorial, try and get it crisp and clean and good. I just finished one pocket and I realized I actually did the bias binding wrong, so kind of predicted that one. Question is if it really matters. So I was supposed to attach it first to the inside and then flip it out to the outside, but I did it the other way around. That means that the nice seam along the bias binding is on the inside now, and on the outside it's looking kind of squiggly. When you look at it really far away on a jacket, will it matter? I don't think it will, but I have to learn sewing bias binding somehow. And this mistake is one of the ways to learn it. I'll just have to live with it like this as a lesson in how not to do it. Good morning! Last night I got a little bit further. I finished both of the pockets and I did the bias binding on the outside of the fronts. Now I really see the difference between the bias binding I did wrong and the bias binding that I did right. Because I did it right on this one. I started on the inside, flipped it out to the outside. You can see that looks really good. The pocket, don't look at it too closely is my advice. This is where we're at. One piece done. Another piece needs the bias binding all the way around, but has pockets. Today I've set aside the whole day for sewing, so I think I'll get really far today. attach bias binding to the back as well. And then it's time to start assembling. I finished the bias tape on the back, and now it's time to attach the shoulder seams in front. I will do that right sides against right sides, and then I will finish with bias tape, so it will be all nice inside. I finished sewing on the first sleeve. It's a little bit fiddly because this pre-quilted fabric I probably should have sewn on together on the sides, because it's fraying and loose, like the layers are coming apart. But look how pretty it's gonna be on the inside when it's done. From happiness to absolute stone face, this is the point I realized that the sleeves are not long enough. I did consider this when I cut out the fabric, but I thought it looked so long on some of the girls who already made this pattern. Alas, the tall girl problems strike again. After swallowing this defeat, I began cutting out a piece of fabric to extend the sleeve. In the end, this worked. We're good, everyone survived. It's the next day because I ran out of supplies. This is how far I got yesterday. Did all of the insides. I really only need to do the last sleeve opening and the collar. Now the color is going to be a little bit different than from the pattern. Because I'm using this pre-quilted blanket, I can't follow the instructions the exact way that she wants me to. Ideally you should sew the collar right sides together and then flip it so you have the seam on the inside. But the way this is cut, can't really do that. So I'll be doing bias binding all the way around. I think it will also look very cute to have it on the collar as well as on the jacket. And then for the assembly, I'll just have to figure out if I can kind of do what the instruction says. Clip the collar to the jacket now, and it's on the wrong side because then when you flip it around it'll be the right side. And then I've left a little bit of the inside fabric away, so I'll only sew the batting and the outside fabric, and then in the end I'll enclose that seam with the inside fabric. That's basically what it says in the instructions if you do your own quilt. So I'll try to recreate that and I hope it works. I've sewn it on Looks good on the inside. On the outside I still need to sew this down. But it's ready to try on. It's cute. The color is a little bit bigger than I expected. I think I expected more of a short one, but I like that it looks different. Now let's do the finishing touches. I decided to hand sew the back of the collar because I thought that might give it the most clean finish. I'm using some kind of stitch that just came naturally. I don't really know what it's called, but it worked and it looks nice. Now all that's left to do is add the snaps. I haven't done that before either, so this is really a project of new things. I think it involves a hammer, and I'm just gonna have to try and see what happens. I'm measuring out the spacing for the buttons just to see how many I would like and how far between them there should be. Then I'm using this kit that I got at the fabric store, which has instructions for how to put in these snaps. First I'm making a hole in the fabric, then I struggle to put in this thing that's supposed to hold both ends of the button. Next I'm struggling to actually hammer the button in. I know there's a more expensive tool to grab the button and hold it, but I didn't want to splurge on that for this project. Well, I guess it's on there now. The giant mark in the middle. I'm following the instructions exactly how they say here, so put it on here, put the fabric in between, hammer it, right? But then this still happens. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, so since the first button is in there and it's not going anywhere, I just decided to do the rest in the same way. So they all have this little hole in the middle. Maybe I just misunderstood. Maybe this is how they're supposed to look, but on the package, see? No hole. I figured out my mistake. This thing looks deceptively like this thing, but clearly it's this one. This has this little thing that makes the holes that I just discovered. This doesn't, and a button fits perfectly in here. You live and you learn. So even though that was disappointing, I finished the other side. So now it's just a moment of truth to see if the buttons fit. Looks good, right? Should I add the last one down there? Maybe it would be nice to have some mobility. Oh my gosh, I'm officially done!